You ready? 1-inch margins. The way you find the 1-inch margins is you go to File, Page Setup, and all of these numbers right here should be ones. I have seen students adjust the page margins. What is the impression? Everybody look at Dominic. No, do what you were doing. What's the impression of someone who changes their margins to make their essay look longer? You're a lazy sixth grader. That's the impression. Okay? So don't do that. You don't want that to be your impression. Make sure that you have 1-inch margins. All text, 12-point Times New Roman. So if I was looking at an essay, how would I make sure that all the text is 12-point Times New Roman? For instance, let's pick Ethan George, an LCC student. How do I make sure everything is 12-point Times New Roman? Control A, Times New Roman, 12-point. And should anything be bolded? Bold, unbold. Everything. The title, all parts of the essay should be Times New Roman 12-point. I have people who want to underline their titles. I have people who want like fancy calligraphy script for their title. That's not, MLA says it's all exactly the same. The principle of MLA is that it's consistent and that what you do is exactly what everybody else is doing. I know that sense of conformity goes against many students' instincts, but MLA isn't made to make Gen Z happy, okay? It's made so that everyone's using the same rules in an academic setting. So 12-point Times New Roman. The whole essay, again, Control A, should be double spaced. Not that, I don't even know why these exist. Why does 1.15 exist? That's so annoying. 1.5. Why does that even exist? It should all be double spaced. Why? Why is it double spaced? Who can tell me? It's easy to read. It's an academic courtesy, is why it's double spaced. That's why they do it. Okay. Double spaced. Now, notice if you had extra spaces and you double space, do you see this right here? This big space in between the title and the essay? That's wrong. It should not be there. It should look like that. And students are like, ugh, ooh, oh no. Like, it's so easy to give you the heebie-jeebies. That's how it should look. And for some reason, there's a resistance to that. Why football is hard when you don't have experience? Is that a good title? Why is it a bad title? It is his question, right? That is his question. A great title for him would be something like Starting Late. He didn't start football until his junior year of high school. I know that after I've read the essay. So now the title makes sense, right? That's a good title. When after reading it, we know what the essay is about, and it demonstrates some creativity instead of just putting a topic title. Notice how it's capitalized. His previous one wasn't capitalized, was it? It also has you in it. Very frustrating. So Starting Late. So if we go back to our checklist, we've done 1-inch margins, we've done Times New Roman, and we've done double spaced through everything, even the works cited entries. So if I go back and look at the sample essay, are these all double spaced? Yes, they are. Notice there's no extra spaces in between works cited, and the entry is all double spaced appropriately. Dominic, you need something, or you just okay? Right, I want to make sure. All right. This part of MLA gets really professor specific. Okay, so different professors will ask for this different ways. This is how I'd like you to do it. Your pages are numbered beginning with page 1, including the works cited page, and you have a heading that is the following format: last name, first name, FSU English 150, and then today's date, No, I'm sorry, not today's date. What date is that? The day you submit the essay, right? The day you submit the essay is why it's dated. You're doing that because you're representing that this is my work that I'm submitting on this date. Do you know that if you submit this work again for a different assignment, that is technically plagiarism? Plagiarism is not just stealing other people's words, it's misrepresenting your work in any way. So if you submit the same work for 2 assignments without informing the professor of that, if you change that date and you haven't changed the essay, that's technically plagiarism. So we date our work with the day that you're submitting the essay. So in a college class, that may be in the middle of the semester, but for my class, because it's not set in stone until the portfolio is done, and the portfolio is the 3 essays, right? That's your collection of work. 8 December 2022. Now, do you know something funny about the date? It's got the date first, right? That's MLA dating, and so you don't have to put any punctuation in there. So 8 December 2022 is December 8th, 2022. Questions about that? Okay, I have a set of bullet points that I call don't look like a high schooler. These are the things you need to do to make sure you don't look like a high schooler. First, every work on the works cited is used in the essay. And 2 of your essays must have at least 3 sources. So essay 2's got 3 sources, essay 3's got 3 sources. So I should be able to go, and this right here should appear in the essay, right? That should be in the essay somewhere. So when a student submits something digitally, it's really easy for me. I select this, I copy it, I hit Control F, I paste it, that had better appear. Oh, and there it is. There it is. You see that? Now, because I've looked at millions of essays, I know right now the kid has made a major mistake. Does anybody want to know what this mistake is? You see where is his research? At the end of what? The end of a body paragraph. Why is that a high schooler move? Research does not begin or end body paragraphs. Why do you not want to put your research at the end of your body paragraph? Because you have to explain it. If it's just dropped into the end of that paragraph, are you using it? No, you are air mailing it into your work. High schooler, why don't you want to begin body paragraphs with outside sources? Yes, McKaylee. The topic sentence, which should be your idea, right? Not somebody else's. So it's really obvious to a professor when a student is not thinking like a college student, when I can go to an essay and his research is ready. Do I even need to read the whole essay before he's already made an impression on me? That it's the case. Now, thankfully, this is a draft, so Ethan can fix this, right? He can address it. Every internal citation can be found in the works cited and corresponds with the first part of the entry. So I should be able to go to an essay. Now, now I will Control F and look for a parentheses. Oh, there's one. There's a parentheses. So Martin should correspond with the beginning of an entry, and it does. Good job. Well done. See how that works? That should correspond. If that doesn't correspond, you're a high schooler. Each use of an outside source is signaled in. Further, each use of a source clearly supports the topic sentence of that paragraph. The source is described and explained. Let's look at Ethan's work. Here, he uses a source. What is problematic about this? Roger Wilson from Tackle Smart Sports judges that the best age to start tackle football would be at age 14, which is the age when many players on the team started. According to his assessment of the ideal age to begin, I started a few years too late. Somebody said it. Say it louder. What's the problem with this? He didn't signal out. Now, he didn't have to signal out because what he would signal out with is this. So that's okay. Who is Roger Wilson? We have no idea. Why would we listen to him? He's from Tackle Smart Sports. What is that? We have no idea. Now, what if Roger Wilson was the executive director of Tackle Smart Sports, a nonprofit started by the NFL to help young people safely get into football? Would that be good information to put in there? Yeah. What he's done here is a high schooler. I have no idea who Roger Wilson is. Why should I? How does it help me feel, know, and believe anything? Tackle Smart Sports? What? How does that help me feel, know, or believe anything? You have to tell us where this is from and why it's credible. Now, sometimes you don't have to do that. Do we know who Tom Brady is? Okay, so if you use Tom Brady, you don't have to say the greatest football player of all time, right? If you say coach of the Detroit Lions, do you have to explain who the Detroit Lions are? No. One of the worst franchises of all time. Right? You have to think, what do I need to explain for my reader? And when you don't explain, you're ignoring your reader, which is what most high school writers do. They don't care about the reader because they're just doing an assignment. All right, trying not to. I'm on tape. I'm trying to be nice. Next. Works of publications and databases are italicized. How a source appears on the works cited page is how it appears in the essay. So if we go to the student sample, in fact, I want to go to a different sample. I want to go to last week. I shared with you a sample research essay about Game of Thrones where the writer really did this well. So in this one, Psychology Today is italicized. It's italicized because down in the works cited entry, it's italicized down here. Does that make sense? So you want to make sure that that corresponds. The dates are in MLA format. So when you put a date in, please put in an MLA format. This is very obvious when you list your accessed dates. Every online source, you have to put the day you accessed it at the end. So when you put that day, make sure it is in MLA format. If you have a date inside of an entry, and I know this is confusing, it's something that's confusing about MLA, it's okay to leave that date like that. But when you put the dates at the end, you should put it in MLA format. Now, a little tip. This student's research really irritates me. I'm 45 years old. I had to spend countless hours of my life in the library. Why does this student's research really irritate me? I'm irritated. Because why? How long did he research for? Do you think it's a good idea to give your professor the perception that you worked on your research for one day? Probably not a good idea, right? So what can you do intelligently? Absolutely change these dates. Now, should you put January 12th, 2021? No, make sure you're putting dates that are actually when, right? That makes sense? Is that a way to make sure the professor doesn't think something poor about you? No. You should actually do research over multiple days. That's what I'm telling you. Or make sure it looks like you did. Right? The works cited page is alphabetized and the entries are reverse indent. Now, I want you to think about this. Think about the immediate perception of this works cited page. It looks good. It's double spaced. It's alphabetized correctly. What's the impression of this one? You immediately see it's not double spaced, right? Didn't you all notice that immediately? Does it piss you off? What else do you notice?
They're all the same day.
It's not alphabetized. So does this student not know the alphabet? That's an effort error. That's an effort error. Yeah, but it's not hyperlinked. You should not have hyperlinks in your. Yeah, no, that's a doc. So many of the databases will give you a DOI number, which is a specific number for a document. That's what that is. That was generated by the database. So you need to think about impression, right? That's about impression. The entries are reverse indent. How do you make a reverse indent? Do you tab over right here? Do you space over a bunch of times? Don't admit to it if that's what you do. I will show you how to make a reverse indent. So let's say this is my works cited page, and here's my works cited entry. A bunch of gobbledygook, right? Doesn't matter how long it is, database will give it to you. Now, do not try to space over the second line, but instead, highlight it, go to Format, Align Indent. Now, that makes sense, right? I'm thinking about the formatting of the align and indentation. Over here, this one isn't as intuitive, okay? You have to pick indentation options. Okay, so pick indentation options. You're making a special indent. It's called a hanging indent. It automatically defaults to 0.5 and you hit apply and it makes it for you. She's super happy. And then it keeps making it for you. So every time you make an entry, after having developed that, see how it made it automatically? This makes it automatically. In 1997, what was I doing? I had a ruler and I was lining up the typewriter. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Gramps. No highlighted text on the works cited page for some. Now these two comments are in here because sometimes I've noticed that cut and paste citations from a database or from a citation generator sometimes have a faint highlight behind it. Have you seen that? The way you change that is you go to highlight and select none. Okay, so you highlight whatever text has a slight highlight behind it and select none. And the other thing that I've noticed is that sometimes titles are not capitalized correctly. Do you see how this is capitalized correctly? The title? Look at this one. Something's going on there, right? Something's wrong. This student copied and pasted it and it doesn't make sense. Do you think all of that is the title? No, it's not. Sam. The database made that, didn't it? Yes. Should you keep it in all caps? No. Go in and capitalize it correctly. I see this time and time again. Um, in fact, this was in all caps originally. I've changed it for them, but that was in all caps. And actually, it probably should be, that should be capitalized. So sometimes the database doesn't do everything for you. I'm sorry that you have to go do a little bit of work. It's really tough. Life is tough. So I have covered these points, which are things to check and get right. Effort, effort, effort before the final draft. And I hope you see the connection in between how they give you, they give the reader an impression about you. This is not really about writing in an authentic sense, but writing in college, particularly in those early classes. College professors are quickly making judgments about you based on the choices you make, or it's not even really a choice. The things that demonstrate a lack of effort, and make sure you don't do that. Is there anything else I want to cover? Oh, big one, big one. How do you get your works cited on the next page? Why don't I just hit enter a bunch of times? If I hit enter, it creates a space, right? If that essay gets longer or shorter, the works cited will move with it. Will your essay still get edited after you turn this in? Yes, they will. So how do you keep the works cited always on the next full page? Nope. Page break. There it was. Somebody said it. At the end of the essay, go to insert, break, page break, and it will always keep it down here. To get the works cited in the middle, you pick center align. Don't tab over. Pick center align. Now, do you think it's a good idea to go back and watch this video as you work on your essays? Did I have a video I could go back and watch in 1997? No. What did I have? I had an MLA handbook. Yeah, not fun. How do I stop this?